Well, hello there, good people. Hi, it's Jason from Green Country Agroforestry. And today, if you're watching this, it is probably Saturday. Unless you're watching after Saturday, in which case it's some other day that ends in a Y. Unless you're watching it tomorrow, that ends in a W. In any case, I'm here to declare my allegiance in the Shed Wars. The Shed Wars of 2020. Yep, today's the day. And of course, since it says Shed Wars, I'm going to show you, well, a shed. Now, I'm not going to get engaged in any of the trash talking that's going on, because as you can see from the carport, which is kind of like a shed, as you can see, this is kind of a messy bit of business here. I do need to do some work out here, getting it cleaned up, putting in some additional walls along the sides, because eventually this is the area that I'm going to bring in the garlic to dry it for harvest before it's shipped out across the country to people that need good quality fresh garlic, and a few other things. But as you can see, it's messy, it's cluttered, it's got the occasional tool like this wonderful drill press that still needs to go into another messy area behind that door over there. That's the garage, otherwise known as Santa's workshop. I'm working on the belly, the beard, and the hair. They're coming along. Anyway, so I need to tell you who I'm swearing my allegiance to, I suppose. Well, it's not swearing allegiance, but I'm going to be joining Team Woodcutter. And the reason is, I've got a bone to pick with some of you people from the original 13 colonies. Yeah, you see, back in 1791, when the whiskey tax was passed, all the way up to 1794, whenever that tyrant Washington marched his 13,000-man army on the poor, almost defenseless citizens of Pennsylvania, none of you rose up to stand against him. And so as a result, we've been enduring 240 years of hardship ever since from that monstrosity that you helped create. So, us Westerners are siding with the South. Follow me. Alright, so, getting ready to show you another mistake made by previous generations that we have to put up with today. Back in 1830, somebody thought it was a good idea to import a certain plant from Turkey over to Georgia. And that plant, to compound matters, was then taken by one William Johnson and planted all along the Alabama River in the 1840s. What plant is that? Well, that is this plant right here. This one is called Johnson grass. That's right, Johnson grass. This stuff. Get a good look at this. This is a horrible plant. Why would you do this? It's a member of the sorghum family. And just like any other member of the sorghum family, aside from producing from seeds, it has these deep, starchy taproots. Oh, get that thing out of there. Look at this. Deep, starchy taproots. It can grow right up from these. It's a perennial. But unlike other sorghum that you can cut down and get good sugar from, make molasses, there's hardly any sugar at all. And that stem, hardly sweet at all. It's horrible. Can't use it as a crop. I suppose you can let animals graze on it. But by the time it gets old, these stems, they get all sharp, like little punji stakes. Horrible. And it goes to seed. The seeds are all thin and spindly. There's not like a good, decent grain millet. Worthless plant. Worthless. Oh, this one's Bermuda grass. I don't know if it's from Bermuda or not. But what I'm doing out here today, of course, is tending the weeds and pulling up the weeds in the garden. One of which is this Johnson grass, which manages to push up through the mulch. And of course, Bermuda grass. So around here, our worst weeds are morning glory, Bermuda grass, and nutsedge. Now, I'd like to say that there's no nutsedge out here, but I have seen a little bit here and there. Here, that's a morning glory. And that's a ladybug. And the ladybug is out there doing the good work for us, hunting and killing aphids. So I'm going to put her over here with the peas. Let her go to work. Bermuda grass. Good morning, Glory. They make pretty flowers, sure. But they vine and they grow over everything and they choke everything out if they can. Go. Here it is right here. This is nutsedge. Now, if you let this grow and get big, it's going to send up a scape with a little spiky ball at the top of it. It's not a painful spiky ball. It's just a burr shape. And that's the seed head that this will produce. You notice it kind of looks like a little bit like the foliage for a daylily, but they're much, much more narrow and have a ridge on that underside like that. So they produce from the seed. They can produce from runners that they send out around in the roots to spawn off of the roots, and they also produce little tiny tubers underground, which unfortunately whenever I pull this out, the tuber is going to stay in there, and it can grow back from that. Hopefully over time those tubers that are down there in the ground, after spending all of their energy trying to sprout new plants, are going to give up, and then that sedge will be gone. But deep mulching will help, but you do have to pull them out. Be careful that you don't step on the little okra. Oh, there's an okra coming up right there. It's brand new. Clemson spineless okra there, and that one's just starting to sprout there. Clemson spineless okra. Of course, then there's ragweed, like that. That's everywhere. But my latest scourge have been trees. That's right. Here in the mushroom bed, I've got all of these little maple saplings starting to try to come up. Maples. Can you believe it? Maple trees. How many was that? A good dozen or so? Mm. This is just today's crop. Should have seen what I pulled out of here yesterday.
Make sure to try to pick up your wing nuts, people.
Yeah, they will make more little trees, give them the opportunity. I've got another tree that's starting to become a problem out here. Okay, so this is another tree down here. It likes to grow from rhizomes. Not this. That's a pea, but this is black locust, and black locust is a nitrogen fixing plant, perennial tree. You know, it has that good thick root structure there. It likes to grow up from the roots. Every single root node a black locust can grow from. They can sprout from seed as well. There we go. I didn't have to cut that out after. But you got to be careful, because once they get big enough, okay, these look like they're probably sprouted from seed. Once they get big enough, they start developing sharp spines along the body of the tree. Somewhere around here there was a root ball that I buried that I'd hoped would, after cutting the tree back and burying it, might stop the growth of that locust, but some of it's coming up. There's another one over there. It's not a bad tree, just not one that we particularly want. Has this one started to get its spines yet? Okay, yep, right there. Barely starting to poke through. Once this thing gets a little bit older, those spines are sharp and they hurt. I'm just going to get down here, close to the roots. There we go. Yeah, there's a good example. See, this is where that root was growing along underground. It'll send those rhizomes out for 20, 30 yards or even more, and then produce new colonies of trees everywhere they go.
Yes.
So when you're establishing your woodland area, having a pioneer species like the black locust is not necessarily a bad thing, but since it doesn't produce much in the way of food whenever it matures, and it has a tendency to be invasive with these long runners, there are better things that you can have other than locust. Let me show you one spot. This is called a cherry silverberry, Eleagnus multiflora. Just like the black locust, it's a nitrogen-fixing plant. Just like the black locust, it's a perennial. Just like the black locust, it has little tiny thorns, but unlike the black locust, this particular version of Elaeagnus, the multiflora, does not spread excessively, and so therefore it becomes a lot easier to manage. And one other thing, which is really important, it produces a fruit you can eat. So there we have it, joining Team Woodcutter for Shed Wars, and of course showing you a little setup here for controlling weeds using deep mulch. Excellent way for keeping weeds under control. It's a lot easier to pull them out whenever they're mulched in, but of course the exact method that you use for growing food is going to be different depending upon where you're at and what conditions you're growing under. Here with the sandy soil and that tendency to just lose all our water from the rain really quick, having mulch, deep mulch, makes a lot of sense. It may not make a lot of sense where you're at. Maybe you have heavy clay. Double digging might be the way to go for you. Or some other method like growing in raised beds, particularly if you have extremely rocky soil or soil that may be contaminated by debris from construction or who knows what else. In any case, that's all I've got for you today, good people. As always, found the video entertaining or informative, hit the like button. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, share the video, bang the notification bell, and good people, I will catch you next time. Well, yeah, I mean, I'd say 240 years because it was 1788, and that's actually 232 years. If you want to be technical, that they just threw all of the heroes of the Revolution under the bus. There's only one guy that I know of, that gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Henry, had the courage to stand up and say that what they were doing was wrong and walked out of the convention. Then 1791 through 94, Washington reinforces the fact that it's not the consent of the governed, it's force of arms is where the central government derives its power and authority.